Hello everybody, today we're going to be taking another look at the Toro snowblower with the belts missing off of it, or one belt that was stretched out to the point where it really wouldn't do anything. What we're going to be doing is removing the other drive belt, this one right here, which is used to drive the wheels. The one up at the front that goes into this groove is the one that's used to drive the auger, which is what actually moves your snow. And this one basically the belt was stretched to the point where it would move the auger, but with any resistance against it whatsoever, the belt would slip. So we'll be replacing the belt. And since we already have the cover off, we're just going to be replacing both belts to make sure this is an older machine, and just to make sure that he has good drive power as well as good power to the auger. We're going to be replacing both belts. As we can see on the belt for the drive, if we were to pull on the belt, we can see that that pulley moves, and that tension on the pulley is what actually makes it drive. So the easiest way to remove this one is going to be to just cut the belt off, and then we can slip the new one in there, and then I'll show you how to tension it. So I'm just going to be getting a pair of cutting pliers, and we'll cut the belt off, match it up for length with the new one, and then we'll be reinstalling. Now we've cut the belt off, and we can pull that up through, and now we can match up the belts to see which one goes into which position, and then we can start reassembling. Here's the new belt for the drive wheels. So I will fit it down in between the two pulleys. And then make sure it is pulled up to where it is around the pulleys on both sides. I'll bring it around. And I will pull up on it to take up some of that tension, and I'll get it started onto the belt pulley at the top. And then rotate it on by turning the crankshaft pulley on the engine. To make sure that it is in place. One problem that I found by angling it in across the pulley from the front was it had a tendency to derail the belt off the pulley down below. So what we're going to do is put it on from the back side. And it slips on much easier that way, and didn't have as far to travel, so it didn't get as crooked, and then it went on without much problem. Now that the wheel drive pulley belt is all on the pulleys, everything is good, the belt is nice and tight with the spring tension. Now we're going to be moving on to the belt for the auger. Now, one thing that we had attempted to do was to change the positioning of this tensioner in order to get it to work with the stretched belt, and we weren't able to do that, so we did change everything back. We had attempted to put a larger pulley on there, and that didn't work out, so we changed it back to its original size. Now we'll be installing the other belt. Once again, we'll be pushing the new belt down between the two pulleys down below, and we just have to make sure that it gets underneath the correct pulley and wraps around it completely. Sometimes on the bottom of the tensioner there is a little arm on the back side of that prevents that from happening, and what you may have to do is just release that tension and allow the belt to slip into place. You'll know if you got the belt into the groove completely if you try to lift it up and it doesn't. If you try to lift it up and it doesn't come out of the groove and it doesn't sneak up between the two belts, or between the two pulleys rather. So we can see that it is on the belt all the way around. It's on the inside of this tensioner pulley. And the belt on this side will stay loose until you squeeze the handle, in which case that belt will now tighten up. And then when you release that handle to drive the auger, it loosens back up again. It stays tight enough on there to where it can't come off, and that little piece on the bottom that makes it difficult to get the belt on, make sure that the belt doesn't slip off of the lower pulley, but it also, so it keeps it on just tight enough to be able to not fall off, but not so tight that it still tries to drive anything. And after that, all we have left to do is to put the center cover back on, which we'll be doing next. The last step will be placing the belt cover underneath the discharge chute, and then we will be lining up the two lower bolts that hold it on. This cover, basically the purpose that it serves is to just protect and keep the belts covered so that you can't accidentally reach down into them and cause any injury or anything like that. After you get the two bolts in with a 3/8 wrench, you just tighten them up. Being that you're only tightening down something that's made out of plastic, all you need to do is just snug it up. If you were to over tighten these, there's a very good possibility that you could break the plastic. Now I'll go around to the other side. Get the last bolt into position. And snug that one up as well. After that, everything is complete and this snowblower is ready to go back into action. See you next time.